Let's check out some advanced tutorials with Bitlbee.
This segment of Hak5 is brought to you by GoToAssist.
So a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to introduce you guys to Bitlbee, which is basically a IRC/chat client for MSN, Gtalk, Twitter, and all sorts of other different clients that you can use to basically, chat with your friends. So there's a whole bunch of different advanced commands that you can use in Bitlbee, and I wanted to give you guys sort of an introduction to more of the advanced tutorial other than just setting it up. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and sign into Bitlbee, and of course to do this, I'm currently logged into the Hak5 IRC, but I'm going to go ahead and log on to server localhost. And this was basically the same thing that I did last time I signed on to Bitlbee for my previous segment. Basically, this Bitlbee server is running on your computer, i.e. localhost, and it's already online and ready for you to go. So if you've already registered your nickname, for myself it's Snubs, all you have to do is identify with your password. If you haven't done that already, go ahead and register with your password now. So I'm going to log in with my identify and my super easy password. So this is automatically logging me into all of the different accounts that I currently use on Bitlbee. And at this time, I'm only using Google Talk or Gtalk. So next thing you want to do after this is add all your different kinds of accounts. First one I added was Gtalk, of course, but I'll go ahead and show you how to add a different account. So I'm going to add, let's try MSN. And I don't remember my password right now for MSN, but this will be good because I can show you also how to remove an account if it keeps on messing you up. So you type in account, add, I'll do MSN, snubsie, boo18, which I almost never use anymore. And I'm going to say that my password for this is Starbuck, even though it's not. So it says it's successfully added with the tag MSN. It automatically knows that you're using MSN for this account because it notices, add MSN as the account name, and then I'm using hotmail.com. So after you've done that, make sure to save your settings, because if you don't, you might not be able to save all these afterwards. Save. Configuration saved. And all of this basically saves into your XML file. Make sure that all your passwords and everything else that you want to keep are already there on your localhost machine, so you don't have to worry about them later. Now let's go ahead and log on to these different ones, because currently they're not actually online. So I'm going to type in account on. When you click this, it's going to log into all of your different accounts. And you're going to notice MSN down here, it says reconnecting in 5 seconds because I gave it the wrong password, obviously. So I'll get back to that in just a second. But first, I want to start chatting with people. This is really easy to do. All you have to type in is /message, MSG, the username of whoever you want to talk to, and then the message. So let's see who's online. Not many. But Paul's online. There's Paul. It looks like he's busy. So I'm going to type in Paul Tobias. Hey, dude. So you'll see it types out to Paul Tobias. Hey, dude. Now, when he replies to me, it should show up as a separate channel on the actual Bitlbee account. So it'll show up as a completely different one, and it'll keep it kind of separate, which is really, really useful. Now, you can also type to somebody by just typing in the username, colon, and then the message if you just want everything in the same window. Next up is status updates. These are really annoying, and you can see like MSN keeps on logging on and logging off. If this gets really tiresome for you, very easy to fix this. You just type in /ignore ampersand Bitlbee and modes. Now through here, it's going to tell you you can use ignore mask types and options. So you can have the option to ignore the private channel and a bunch of different options as well. And you can also keep them quiet. So I'm just going to leave them on for now, but that is really important to know in case it gets very bothersome for you. Now I want to add a couple of different new contacts. So say I have a different Gmail account and I decided to use this one and chat with myself back and forth for some reason, or I have a friend that I haven't added to Gtalk quite yet. All I have to do is type in add the the account number or the ID, which is 0 for gtalk, and then the name of the person I want to add. So I will type in add 0. I'm going to do my fake Gmail account. So it says adding shannonmorse1@gmail.com to your contact list. So that way you can automatically start chatting with your new contact. It's very simple to add, and you may be wondering, why did I have to put in that 0? That doesn't make any sense. Really easy to figure out what your account ID is for, whether it's Twitter, or gtalk, or MSN, or whatever account you're trying to add somebody to. You just type in account list. You'll notice on here that I have 0, which is gtalk, jabber, which is the client, snubsie@gmail.com, and it says it's connected. So it lets you know that you're logged in and everything is good. You're already authenticated. You also see MSN down here under number 1, MSN snubsieboo@hotmail.com, awaiting reconnect because I had put in the wrong password. End of account list. That way you have a really easy way to see what accounts you've been using, if there's any that you really need to delete because you don't use them anymore, etc., etc. Now I want to remove a user. So I'm not really interested in chatting with myself on Gmail, so I'm going to remove myself. Also very easy to do, remove Shannon Morse 1. And it'll tell you buddy removed from contact list. Very simple to do. And if, of course, if you have a couple of different users, but both of them have very similar usernames, you can also change them. So you could change them to rename to shannonmorse1@gmail to Shannon's second Gmail account. And it's very simple to do. Just type in rename. And I'm going to use P. Tobias as my example again. P. Tobias to P. Tobias Hak5. So it says P. Tobias is now known as P. Tobias Hak5. Nick successfully changed. Then that's, of course, another very easy one to use. Now, if you want to make all of your different Google Talk, oh, look, Paul Tobias just texted me back. Yo, girl. Hey, what's up, dude? Awesome. Now, of course, his is separate right there. As soon as he replied to me, it showed up as a separate channel. But I want to have all of my different Google Talk chats going on in a separate channel completely. I want to see every single of my contacts in a separate chat, because it gets kind of annoying looking through this very long list of everyone over on the side, way over here. So I'm going to type in /join, very similar to IRC, gtalk. This is going to create a gtalk section that just shows me whoever is in my Google Talk account. So I can go back to Bitlbee there and talk to Paul Tobias, who is currently recording this episode. Awesome. Now you can always turn off your gtalk account if you don't feel like chatting with everybody, or if you're busy or something like that and you don't necessarily want people to see that you're online. Very simple to do. All you have to type in is, oh, let me go back to Bitlbee. All commands go in here, account, gtalk off, and that will turn it off. So I'm currently using it. I'm not going to turn it off at the moment, but it's very simple to do, of course. Now, if I wanted to delete an account, this is where it comes in handy if you accidentally spelled a password incorrectly. So I didn't spell the MSN account correctly. That one keeps on trying to log on. It gets really annoying if I didn't ignore it in Bitlbee. So what I can do is type in account. Oh, let me check list again to make sure I know the number. Okay, so it's number 1, account 1, DEL for delete. And it just simply tells me account deleted. Now, you will need to sign off before you delete any of your accounts, and it will give you an error if you haven't already signed off. Just make sure that you choose to do that beforehand, and you can just type /quit, I believe. Now, you can also add a channel by typing the join command, just like in IRC. So you can choose to join an IRC channel inside Bitlbee instead of using a completely separate server like I'm doing right now. So in that example, you would just type in channel add the account ID and then the channel name, Hak5, and then the channel server, which would be irc-hak5.org or what have you. Now I want to chat with somebody in a chat room. Also very easy. You can type in chat with, and then the name of the person you want to chat with. Chat with Hak5 Darren. And you can begin a chat with just Hak5 Darren. Very cool. Now, say you forgot the username of one of your friends and you just thought you'd see some random person in your contact list. You want to know a little bit more information about that person. Very easy to do. All you have to type in is info 0 and then the name of the person. So the 0, of course, is for the account number. In this instance, it's for GTalk. And I'm going to type in P. Tobias. Now you're going to notice something here. Jabber sends back this message that it could not receive the V card for Tobias. If you do the same thing in MSN, for example, MSN is going to send you back the username, the first and last name if they require that, an email address, and any other information that's provided from that chat client. So you can easily tell who exactly is sitting in your username chat list, and you can also change their name to match something that's more similar to you so you don't run into that problem. Now, have anybody that's really annoying on your chat list? Very easy to block them. All you have to type in is block and their nickname. Or if you accidentally block somebody, like someone in your family, like I did once because they were really annoying, you can always allow them again by typing in allow and nickname. Now I do have plenty more tips, but it's getting super hot in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and log off. But if you wanna check this out, definitely download Bitlbee and check out my other segment where I show you exactly how to install Bitlbee and a little bit of information about its history. And send me your tips on what your favorite commands are or any other extra cool advanced tutorials that you've found. You can email me feedback@hak5.org, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
You guys know working in IT can be really challenging. I mean, super rewarding, but a lot of times totally stressful because the issues, they come up on their own schedule, not yours, which can be really challenging because you've got unexperienced users, you've got network issues, you've got viruses, and when all those pop up, you need to be the first to know, which is why I love Citrix GoToAssist, because they have this awesome proactive monitoring tool that lets you monitor your entire network and see what's going to be an issue before it's an issue. It's a customizable dashboard, it's got proactive alerts, and get this, when all of those things happen, you can track all of those incidents with their nice little service desk. So you're like, oh, this machine is really acting up and this server is totally misconfigured, what are you doing, you know? All of those fun things that go along with IT, and let me tell you right now, the unattended support, the remote support, all of the things that you can do from any device to any device. I mean, I'm using it on Hack Across America a ton to babysit some servers back at the Hak5 office, and it has been a godsend. So check this out. You can try it free for 30 days. Just visit gotoassist.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code HAK5. We thank them for their support of Hak5 and Hack Across America.
This week's Technolust photo of the week comes from Danilo. He sends us this old school photo of some fun Wi-Fi pineapple hacking and his Linux booting MacBook Pro. Awesome photo, thank you so much Danilo, and you can send your photos over to feedback@hak5.org with the subject line Technolust.
So anyway, materials is one thing that's really exciting.
Well, we couldn't make our own Legos though.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, but aren't Legos patented?
No, the patent's up. I'm serious. I got some I printed in there. They fit perfectly.
Oh,
I
was trying to use the Lego patent as an example of any other patent, but I can't print Playmobil toys.
Well, you can. What people are doing, I mean, in all practicality, people design what they want to design and they print what they want to. I met with the Stanford lawyers last week, the professors at the Stanford Law Department, and they were asking these questions. Totally boring questions to me, by the way, like all this IP and 3D printed guns and all this stuff. And I mean, the cat is out of the bag with the technology. You're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. It's happening. You know what I mean? Like if I want to print a Lego, whether the IP or I do it, whether or not people are going to get sued over these IP infringements. I mean, I infringe IP when I made my wife a mixtape in 1988. You know, that's breaking copyright law. So there is a certain and the lawyers even admit this. There's a certain level at which there's a practicality where you're not going to get sued. But they said, but you, Brooke, are going to get sued, you know, because you make the machines. And they perceive that I have money. So I am worried about that.
Do you feel like if some kid prints a 3D gun and then uses it to commit a crime, do you feel like somehow you'd be responsible or liable?
I don't think so. Would that totally bum me out and make me sad? Absolutely, right? Because, you know, I care about people. But that's not going to stop me. Just like it shouldn't have stopped Henry Ford when he was spitting these cars out the end of the factory like all day long. You know, we were talking earlier that one of the inventions of these last 100 years that have killed the most people is cars. But should we live without them? No. Would that have limited, the forward movement of technology? Absolutely. So you can't stop the technology. The technology is not to blame. I even liken to Ford and their racing team. You know, they make these race cars and they really push the technology as far as it can go. I'm a fan. Man, now that I've said it out loud, I kind of copped it. As a company, I want to be somewhat agnostic. But the truth is, me as a person, I like guns. My dad has a gun. I don't own a gun. But when I was a kid, you know, we lived in Kansas. In my high school, people came with a gun rack full of guns. And if you saw a kid walking down the street, you asked him, you know, how the hunting was. You didn't run and call 911, you know. So I grew up in a different area. But I'm a fan of pushing technology to the point at which you find out its limits and you solve interesting problems. So just like racing, you know, does Ford want us all to drive 200 miles an hour? No. But the fact that they're doing that has this wonderful trickle-down technology that helps you and me, you know, go down to, you know, Wendy's and have a burger. So I think there's good things that can happen with these hackers solving hard problems. Do I agree with all of their value system? No. But I think I welcome all these challenges that are coming up with materials and what this stuff can do.
So what's the third thing you said? It's hardware, it's materials?
So it's hardware, it's materials, and then it's also software. And that's one of the caveats that's kind of frustrating for me because while we now have some of our own, you know, I say proprietary, unreleased software, software is a big hurdle. So MakerBot was kind of the champion. Bree was kind of the champion of open source. It's like, we're going to make these open. He put the cupcake out. On all the plans were online. He didn't update them often, but arguably, I put my first version plans online. I don't update them often. I moved off of this model and went on to another one. Finally, did get the first version of these online. So I haven't got everything online because I'm busy, not because I have changed my values. Eventually, everything here will be online. This is like version 2. You can get version 1. This whole thing, exactly as it sits, you can get online. I mean, make your own. This one, not yet, because it's in beta and we're not done. So even though you know, open source is a great thing, Bree closed down his part of his project, you know, his software and hardware, and now some of it's closed source, and other companies have done the same. Because the reality is, and I'm not defending him or anybody else, but now I'm doing it now, I understand that open source software lacks the control. If you leave it open source, it lacks some of the control you need to iterate often and not frustrate people, and have the control to change some of the UI that others may not like. And so this forked nature of open source, where you fork, and you change, trying to support, you know, 15 different versions of software is very difficult. So you kind of got to freeze it at some point and say, no. I know that GitHub has that one version, you know, but no, we're back on like 3 versions back. Don't get that one. And then things change. So we have software right now on our DLP projector, which is what I was going to tell you next. What I'm excited about is not just hardware, software, materials, but this DLP printing is nice because one thing about these FDM is they're slow. They have to draw a line. It's like a fancy glue gun on a robot arm, but it can only draw one line at a time, and then it turns around and draws the line next to it, and back and forth, lifts up, does it again. That's slow.
It's like a dot matrix.
Exactly, man. It does one thing. And what's cool is this DLP that we have in here. It's working, but it's very early stages, like pre-alpha. But we had to write some software and cobble together this spaghetti code to get it to turn the projector on the whole layer hits, the light comes on, boom, and it exposes this UV resin with ultraviolet light, and it gets it hard, all in one layer, all at once. A few seconds later, zzz, moves up, does it again. So you can build really tall, really fast, like way faster than this, and it's better resolution. So
would you say it's the difference between a bubble jet and a laser printer, or what?
It's even more dramatic. It's more, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You go back 2 years, I would have said dot matrix and laser printer. But you know, yeah, these do really good resolution. I mean, this little cube here, if that came off my cupcake 2 years ago, I would have fainted, you know.
How does that affect the resolution?
It's actually a little better because it's so smooth on the turn, and when you go here, you know, and you turn a corner on this, the XL belt, you know, I don't know how to say it, but you'll get little ridges on some really fine prints on the corners with this. So we're actually going to go down to MXL belt, which is twice the resolution, so it turns a tight corner better.
Why does resolution matter?
Resolution doesn't matter if you don't need it, but I will tell you that the general populace, they're spoiled by this consumerist culture that has produced all these shiny, cheap objects. Nobody knows what it is to make anymore. So when they look at one of my models that's printed in like 0.2 resolution, I think that's 0.3, they look at it like, it's like, when's it going to be like nice on the outside? And I'm just like, oh geez, are you kidding me? Do you know how good this is right now? Could I do better? Yes. Does it take longer? Yes. So I think the expectations of people have to get to the point where they realize, first of all, not everything needs to be shiny. Secondly, if you want it to be shiny, there are ways to make it shiny, but we're not Star Trek yet. You know, it's not, you know, tea, Earl Grey. You know, it's not so easy to make anything. So again, Bree was quoted as saying, "This is the Macintosh moment. The MakerBot Replicator 2 is a Macintosh moment." I argue that it's the Apple I moment, and that we're all hacking in our garages and making some stuff that, yeah, this is made out of wood. We're not to the polish yet, and neither is the process. But I will tell you that the DLP gets pretty darn close. So you see, like Formlabs, they were in a booth next to us, and I've met them a long time ago. They're nice guys, really, really smart guys. They're using lasers to do this, and so the resolution is probably a little better than what we're producing now on ours. You see that thing? It looks like it's been cut from glass. I mean, it's amazing. It's very, very good resolution. B9 Creator, just give a shout out to him too. He's got a DLP. It's amazing, dude. You hold something in your hand that he made, and it's like, I cannot believe that. I mean, seriously? It's phenomenal. His wife was with him, and she goes, yeah, look. And I was like, what? And she showed me her wedding ring, and I was like, oh, it's beautiful. Why are you showing me this? My husband printed that, and we took it to a jeweler, and they cast it. And that's the ring. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Little itty bitty, like, little tongs holding on the diamond. So we're going there. We're not there yet. Shapeways CEO, Peter, he's a really nice guy. They have a great service. They do stuff in titanium. Those machines, literally, his machines are like $1 million, $1.5 million. The technology is there, it's just not affordable yet.
So when do these machines become so affordable that they're in every home?
So it's funny because, you know, it's like when the Apple I came out, if somebody would have asked that question, just like I'm going to answer it, they will be in every home. I don't know when. I think it's accelerating faster than I thought. You know, we've got, what are we, a year, not even a year and a half yet that we've been out. Just a year in March we've been selling online, and we've got somewhere around 5,000, a little less than 5,000 printers. Breeze sold, that I know of, if these are accurate, 16,000 over 3.5 years, 4 years. So in the DIY market, we're only, and you know, you'd add up all the other stuff that's been made. I mean, we're easily under 100,000 printers. It's a lot more homes than that. So it's growing, but it's not growing so fast. So the thing that I really wanted to do was bring the price down. I know I'm picking on MakerBot, but they're the #1 brand if you take out 3D Systems, and probably still their #1 brand because people don't even know who they are sometimes. MakerBot, theirs is like $2,200–2,400, and I can afford that. You know, there's no way I could afford that before the Kickstarter. Now I'd have the business buy it. You know, I still can't afford it. So I really believe in making these things cheap. So, you know, this was the one I really wanted to make. I wanted to make it so my kids could put it in their backpack and you could unfold it and use it. $3.99. This one's $2.99. This one is like, that's the price point that things started to blow up, and I'm like really worried because we put the beta for sale for $249 because I thought it's a beta. I don't want to charge them full price. And in 24 hours we sold 200 of them. And I was scared to death, you know, and I used up all my stock here and I'm out of everything. And I'm like, oh crap, they're really going to sell it $300. I'm in trouble, you know. So we're like taking a month to like stock up because these are going to fly off the shelf. I think it's price point.
What's the bed size on that?
This is technically right now it's 4 by 3.5 by 3.5, but the plan is 3.5 by 3.5 by 3.5. We just made it a little too big.
Got it.
Yeah, we want to save material, so we will make that.
What's your biggest one?
Well, I mean, I've got really big ones in there, but this is the biggest for sale. 8. This one is. So it's 8 by 8 by 8, and actually this is a little bit more than 8. So it can totally print a cube that big. We just start small. Yeah. So that's the biggest one. And then we have one that...
Do you have any thermal problems with the fact that these are all open? I mean, what about the hardening of the plastic and maintaining temperature? What do you do about that?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. But it depends, right? If you know what you're doing, you don't need it in an enclosure. The enclosure is great if you don't know what you're doing, you know, because it's like there's patents on a sealed chamber for even FDM 3D systems. So, but... this can, like if you got a cool breeze come in, yeah, it could have problems, but the reality that the danger time in a print is when it starts. So if you really heat up this bed really well and you've cleaned it with acetone really well, it'll stick so freaking hard, you may not be able to get it off.
So is the reason that yours aren't enclosed because of patents or simplicity or what?
No, you'll love this. It's because it's hackable. You know, you put it in a box and you limit what people can do with it. This, literally, the design that I wanted was one that can be sized to different dimensions, that can be, you want a taller build platform, buy longer bars. I mean, go to Lowe's and buy longer bars. You have to order these online. But so we have versions of this bot in there and a laser cut version of this one, that this one goes 2 feet tall, this one goes 3 feet tall. And to make it really tall, you only have to spend like $150 because the kit comes with it. So it's hackable. We have one that's double wide. We have one that's double deep. So
you keep mentioning MakerBot and Brie Pettis. Do you consider you and Brie like a Gates and Jobs?
Oh, geez. Well, I'll tell you what. When I met Brie for the first time, I was nervous, right? Because he's the reason I got in the business. I really wanted to meet him and like thank him. And I was like a little bit like, wow, it's Brie, you know. And I saw him, and I was so, kind of embarrassed. And he was the conference. I was at the Open Hardware Summit in New York, and I was like a little bit nervous. My heart's like beating a little bit. I was like, oh, and I'm waiting there to talk to him. And this guy come up and was like, kind of butted in front of me, and I was like, well, that was kind of rude. And they start talking, and I realized I'm like this far away, and there's this awkward moment between him and this other guy. And this guy was saying, man, I'm really sorry about what happened, you know, sorry about that, sorry about the magazine. And he's like, oh, it's fine. He was being really gracious, and there's this really awkward, like, I'm sorry about that. I realized later it's Chris Anderson, the editor-in-chief of Wired, had Brie on the cover that month and said, you know, changing the world. You know, he's holding his MakerBot. And then inside, Chris was quoted as saying that Form Labs, the DLP printer, is going to crush MakerBot. It's a MakerBot killer. And so there's this like awkward moment. I was there. It's like, oh, that's a hard act to follow. But hi, Brie. He was so gracious, man. Even after that difficult situation, he gave me a hug. He knew who I was. He was super nice. And I mean, he's asked me for drinks and stuff. He's very gracious. So if one is, if we're two of the poster boys, maybe that's true, because 3D Systems is kind of faceless. I see them as a 500-pound gorilla sometimes, like eating up like startup companies and taking IP and so some people see 3D Systems as the evil empire because they're kind of different value system than the small guys like me and even Bree. Me and Bree have very different business, from what I can tell, very different approaches to business. He's going after the high-end prosumer market, and his bots are like really slick, really nice, all of the bots, I don't care who you are, they're all kind of hard to use. So, I mean, I meet a lot of people that love their MakerBot, and same with PrinterBot. I meet a lot of people with their printer, our printer, that are frustrated. So that's where we're at with the technology right now. But he's going prosumer, and I'm going like kid sitting at his table at home. I'm going like the value side of the market. So because we're so far apart, we're not like Steve Jobs and Gates, because we're not going after the same crowd. It's starting to get a little more like I'm going for a higher end now with the DLP. At some point it's going to get uncomfortable, but you know what? We're people, so I think we'll remain friendly, of course. I mean, he's a nice guy.
Do you think it's a race to the bottom?
I'm at the bottom, and that's a good thing. Nobody's close. I mean, really, nobody's really close. Nobody that's sold significant, any kind of significant volume is anywhere near me. You really got to go to like 7. There's one, Solid Doodle's like $600, but it's like a low model. You're starting to see some more people try to hit the low end, but I can tell you the only way I'm able to hit this is I buy bars by the thousands, the bearings by the thousands. I buy lots of wood. I really work hard on sourcing. We have our electronics made. I mean, we try to get the bottom. I buy thousands of motors at a time. Some guy coming up and starting a 3D printing business cannot sell it at $299. It's impossible. So there's nobody close to me right now. The closest competitor is MakerBot, and they're $2,200.
Cool.
But anyway, the 6x6 versus 8x8.
Yeah.
So the 6x6, I think I don't even know my own prices. I think the retail now is $649 for the 6x6 LC laser cut model. Mm-hmm. This is the original. So the laser cut version of that, $649, and the laser cut version, but that's a kit, by the way. You can spend extra, and we will assemble it for you and ship it assembled. $150 extra for the LC. This one, a little bigger, a little more complicated, but it's 8x8x8, and that is $799 as a kit, and $999 if you want us to assemble it. So it's under $1,000, barely.
And so where would you say your value system is?
So a few things. One is, if I say it, I will do it. Period. There's no.
You're a man of your word?
No. Oh yeah. No BS with me. I'll tell you if I don't like it.
So what's your commitment to the license and these guys?
Licensing of these? Oh, I see what you're doing. I've said it over and over. It's no problem. Everything on this table is going to be open source, but here's the only caveat. And some true open source guys, I know you resonate with truly open source. I got really pissed off last year because I was totally open source with this. And when I say totally open source, I mean sell it, make it, do it. People did that. And I don't mind. I didn't mind until there was one guy. I made this one part. Actually, it was Caleb, my 15-year-old employee at the time. He'd come on Saturdays. And on one Saturday, he designed, I don't have one. He designed this. Simple, right? He designed this little coaster. And we drew it up on the board, and I was like, here's my idea. And he's like, oh, yeah, I want to draw it. So he draws it up, and he's like, can I put it online? I want to put this online. This is awesome. It has a little PB logo in it. And I'm like, dude, and he goes, hey, can I put my name on this? I'm like, dude, yeah, you deserve that, man. You drew that up. You had some great ideas. That one's yours, baby. Put your name on that. So he put it up on our website, and he goes, hey, we're going to open source this, right? And I'm like, that's who we are, dude. We open source, right? Do it. He put it on Thingiverse, and he open sourced it, and he goes, oh man, I'm going to put it in the store. I said, put it in the store. He didn't know how to do it, and I didn't want to do it because it's like an $8, $10 item. So I went home, and Monday morning, Caleb was like, was it Caleb that told me? But one of my employees was like, dude, did you see that? Let me show you this link. And he takes me to this competitor's website, some little small fry guy. He had taken this, put it up for sale, made it cheaper, didn't credit Caleb, changed the logo, didn't link to our site, didn't link to Thingiverse, totally violated what the license stands for, right? Didn't give any credit, because it's share and share alike is what we do with Creative Commons. And at that moment, I decided, you know what? We're going non-commercial. So I did non-commercial, and what I'm doing is, for a time, I'll do non-commercial, and then I'll let go of that, and then people can do whatever they want. Because we're moving so fast, everything's changing. I had one critic that was like, you said you're open source and you didn't post the plans, and you made a change. The reality is I'm just slow sometimes. So this one was open source for a while. I made a change. I didn't update the files. So it's a lot of work to update all these files and stuff. And I'm not like a programmer in so much that I have another guy that manages the GitHub. So there are some practicalities involved in trying to run a business. So here's my commitment. There's a day very soon where all of this will be truly open source. But first, some of these will be non-commercial for a time. This is the totally, truly open source. It's not even non-commercial. It's all open.
And so what's next?
What's next for us is we are so into this maker culture that we're going to do tools for makers. So 3D printer isn't the only tool you need. We got laser cutters over here. We have a need for some CNC machines, simple desktop stuff. So the very next project that we're doing is desktop CNC. After that will be a kit for a laser cutter, so that people can, dude, owning a laser cutter is like, I think it's as much fun, maybe more fun than 3D printing, because it's so much faster, man. I mean, it's awesome, right? So we're doing a laser cutter, and I got a guy that's actually a real specialist in that area that's gonna be really fun. So we wanna give these tools to other guys like me in their garages and you know, sell the tools, provide the abilities that we now have to make all kinds of fun stuff. And that leads me to the second thing. We're also going to make some toys for makers. So very soon you'll see PrinterBot. And you're actually the first one to know about this. This is the first time I've said this. We're going to do toys for makers. So for the Christmas season, actually for the summer, very, very soon we'll come out with some products that are just toys. They have nothing to do with 3D printing, but everything to do with being a geek and liking to go out and play with toys too. So we're going to use our tools as makers to make some toys, and I'm not telling you what they are, but it's pretty fun.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Hey, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Great to see you, Dan. Thanks for coming by, man, and good luck on your trip.
Thank you.
6 months, you're nuts, but it's going to be awesome.
This week in the Hack Shop, we're having a special on the Wi-Fi pineapple. You can get $5 off a Wi-Fi pineapple for 1 week only. Head over to hackshop.com and use the coupon code BADAPPLE. Sarah came up with that one. Now, once again, our deepest gratitude goes to you for your continued support of Hak5. Thank you so much, because we couldn't do it without you guys. And also, remember to check out hackacrossamerica.com for all of Darren's trip announcements, the events, conferences, and everything that he's doing all summer long. Of course, we value your feedback, so email us over at feedback@hak5.org. Let us know what you think of the show and what you want to see us cover. Let me know what Bitlbee alternatives you use. And don't forget, you can always find everything that we do over at hak5.org/follow. You'll find links to all of our social networks and whatnot over there. I'm super incredibly up on the loop in Twitter, and you should definitely check out that if you want to. And last but not least, I'm Shannon Morse, and for Darren Kitchen, who is currently on the road, we're reminding you to trust your technolust. See you next week.
The dueling simples. Anyway, yeah, you know what it reminds me of?
Yeah. Oh, they're rocket socket robots.
I need a blue one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're a dork.
Totally.
I'm a dork.